Hello everyone, and welcome to week 22 of the Religious Education Initiative. Day 1, we're reading Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 26. So, last week we saw the children of Israel arrive at Mount Sinai, and we saw God command them to cleanse and prepare themselves, and that he then came down upon the mountain on the third day in smoke and in thunder with the sound of trumpets. Once all the people had gathered at the foot of the mountain to hear him, he spoke to them. Let us hear what he says. Then God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and the fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the resident alien in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. When all the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking, they were afraid and trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moses, You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, or we will die. Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid, for God has come only to test you, and to put the fear of him upon you, so that you do not sin. Then the people stood at a distance, while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was. The Lord said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, You have seen for yourselves that I spoke with you from heaven. You shall not make gods of silver alongside me, nor shall you make for yourselves gods of gold. You need make for me only an altar of earth, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your offerings of well-being, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. But if you make for me an altar of stone, do not build it of hewn stones, for if you use a chisel upon it, you profane it. You shall not go up by steps to my altar, so that your nakedness may not be exposed on it. Now, there is a lot going on here. We could talk for hours about any one of the individual commandments, or about the people being afraid and asking that Moses be the go-between and that God not speak to them directly anymore, or about these instructions about the altar. These are the 3 points that kind of exist. We have the 10 Commandments, we have the people's reaction to the 10 Commandments, and then we have God's instructions to Moses about how he should be worshipped, how God desires that the people should worship him. Some broad points, though, that we can take. It is a common thing to divide the 10 Commandments into 2 groups, if you will, with the first several of the commandments, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, referring to and talking about how we are to interact with God. No worshiping other gods, no idols. We're not to take the name of God in vain, and we're to keep the Sabbath day holy. These 4 tell us how we love God. And then the others: honor the father and mother, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness, and do not covet. These other 6, they govern how we are to treat and interact with our fellow man. So, if you recall, in the New Testament, Jesus is once asked, what are the great commandments? And he and the one who asks him, they have a conversation, and the conclusion is that the 2 commandments are: love the Lord your God with all your heart, your strength, your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself, which is really just an interpretation of the 10 commandments, recognizing that they contain 2 points: how we are to love God and how we are to love our fellow man. These 2 points remain the core reality of the covenant between God and man. He has clear statements, clear instructions for how we are to worship and serve and commune with him, and how we are to treat other people. The other thing that we can mention about the altar in particular, many of these guidelines, many of these instructions are explicitly forbidding the people of God to worship him in the same way that other gods were being worshipped at the time. In this, as in many other ways, God is setting his people apart, and he is making very clear to them that he is not just another God. He is God Most High, and must not be worshipped, must not be approached as though he were just another local deity, just another fallen angel seizing worship that is not theirs by right. Our God, Yahweh, the Lord, who has revealed himself to us now, and who revealed himself to the people of Israel at Mount Sinai, he is God above gods. He is the only one who is infinite and perfect, who has made all things, even all the other gods, the angels and the demons, and all of humankind, and everything that is. So, what we are seeing here is specific guidelines for that place and time about how to worship God. Finally, we can go so far as to interpret a little bit the point where he says, don't use any stones for an altar to worship me that have been chiseled or formed by the hand of human beings. The point being that our efforts cannot make worship to God better. We are to worship him simply and in obedience, not in a way that glorifies our own craft. And we see this sort of command even still continuing in the church today, not least in limitations on iconography, for an example. Now, there is art there, but it is strictly limited to the form and the model that has been present in these icons for many years, so that the glory is not to go to the individual artist, to the iconographer. The glory always goes to God. You can see similar principles with the other arts of the church, with Byzantine music and what have you, with the chanting and the singing and even the speaking. But anyway, these are several of the points that we see here in this reading. I am sure you all will see others. For now, God bless you all. I'll see you on Wednesday for day 2.